Am I getting a period on this dosage? Yo, what is up, y'all? My name is Devon, and today I'm going to be talking about my testosterone levels at 420 milligrams of testosterone weekly for 4 weeks. I did get my labs back after doing so, and I'm going to go ahead and review that with you guys. But before I get into that, make sure if you're new here and new as and not subscribed, go ahead and press that subscribe button down below. You're here, please do it, help me out. Also, if you are interested in coaching from yours truly, go ahead and email me, devondiscoaching@gmail.com. Just because of the context of this video, I will say I do not coach within the enhanced portion of things. My coaching is strictly lifestyle. I do not tell people to take steroids. I do not advise cycles. I do not tell people sources. That is not what the fuck I'm about here. Without a further ado, let's get into the real reason you're here. I was taking 420 milligrams of testosterone for 4 weeks. That's just the beginning part of my cycle. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physician, and I'm not going to be a fake natty motherfucker like a lot of people are and sit here and act like I'm 100% natty, going beyond just my transgender, HRT shit. While I have been more tempted to kind of shut off that part of my journey entirely, I'm going to say this, and I hope that somebody understands that if you have seen zero results, if you're simply like, I look like shit, I don't look like I work out, so I'm going to take steroids and then I'm going to look like I work out, you're fucking yourself for no fucking reason, okay? There's so many other factors within this journey that you have to optimize before adding gear into the mix. Please do not just think that you're gonna like take more testosterone or up your dose without your doctor's approval or anything like that. I have seen gains this far. So here's my testosterone results at about 120 milligrams of testosterone, and it's 765 milligrams per deciliter, right? Everybody is different, and that's why I'm making this video. Now, I have clients who are in the thousands at that range. I have clients who are taking 80 milligrams of testosterone at this range. I have clients who are taking 60 milligrams of testosterone at this range. I say all this to say that I'm not really the most strongest responder to testosterone, okay? At 420 milligrams, 1,381 nanograms per deciliter. If you're ever taking testosterone and you're like, oh, well, that person says that he's taking 100 milligrams. If I take 100 milligrams, I'm gonna look like him. Everybody responds to testosterone differently. It's not a blanket statement. Your doctor can't just put you on like 0.3 milligrams, leave you the fuck alone and say, okay, you're probably all right, because everybody responds differently. It's very important to get your labs done. It's very important to get your blood drawn often. And with that, I'm gonna get into the medical side of this and the precautions that I am taking to be as safe as possible. Okay, so prior to beginning the cycle, I did donate blood, some type of donation that was double the amount of red blood cells. And the reason I did this was honestly because they asked me to, because they're having like a shortage of donors. But another reason why I also agreed to do it, I have a high hematocrit and hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is always hard for me to say that, as well as red blood cells. So I donated prior to starting the cycle so that I wouldn't have such thick blood, because that's going to put more stress on your kidneys and more stress on your heart as well. The other aspect of this is, besides donating blood, is blood pressure. Okay, blood pressure is extremely important, and a lot of individuals who are already taking testosterone, even if that's within a natural range, have elevated blood pressure. So it's very important to keep your blood pressure in check. And if you don't know, sodium also adds to your blood pressure. The next aspect of this, and the aspect that you guys probably care about the most, is estrogen. Am I getting a period on this dosage? What am I doing to mitigate my estrogen aromatization? Essentially, this is not advice for anybody to take. I'm not saying this so that you can go ahead and replicate what I'm doing. I am taking an aromatase inhibitor. It's not something that you just throw in like on a schedule. It's something that you have to play by ear the way you feel, essentially, if that makes sense. So there are certain signs to look for when you're having an elevated estrogen. That's going to be like sensitive as nipples. You can't say, oh, like, am I getting gyno? I'm trans, I have little chesticles. Like, yeah, like, I'm not going to get gyno. I wouldn't be able to see if I got gyno, okay? Or at least I don't think I would. It's not like there's a handbook for this. So my nipples are not sensitive whatsoever. I'm getting little slight acne. Like, I got one pimple on my chest. Honestly, that's nothing insane whatsoever. It's very similar to what I went through when I first began in the first place. All of the high estrogen effects that you would think would happen when you're on steroid cycle, which is why you take the AI to mitigate, none of that has happened for me thus far. And honestly, even if your estrogen is elevated and you're not having any crazy symptoms, you don't have to just crash the fuck out of your estrogen because that's oh, like, my estrogen is high, I'm gonna crash the fuck out of it. Like, no, that's not necessary whatsoever. So I know that there's this big saying that happens within the trans community, and people are like, if you take too much testosterone, you're gonna reverse your transitioning. And it's like, I'm not saying this to tell you guys to take more testosterone. Like, once you get to the 900s, the thousands, you're pushing it more than you probably need to be, and it's honestly not necessary for transitioning purposes. Be real with yourself. If you're like past the thousands, you're running a cycle, and I don't care what anybody else says. Now, the same way that my testosterone dose is putting me at my specific level for my body, just because I'm not getting those side effects of high estrogen, or that my estrogen is not necessarily super raised, that doesn't mean that if you think, oh, Devon's taking more testosterone, so fuck it, I'm gonna take more testosterone as well. That doesn't mean that you're not fucking yourself royally and that you might get your period back. Like, you don't fucking know, especially if you're in the beginning stages of your hormone therapy experience. Fuck, I can't talk. The first year and a half, cranking out your testosterone, you're gonna have a strange motherfucking transition, buddy. I'm gonna tell you right now, like, if you're cranking it for the purposes of transitioning, you're just not gonna have the smoothest transition possible, right? So it's best to stay within a nice, beautiful level range, the 600s, the 700s, and honestly, forever, it's the healthiest place to be from a blood pressure, from a heart, from everything perspective, from a bodily function perspective, to stay within range. I want to be open with you guys, and I showed my lab work. Everybody is dose dependent. What your level is going to be is dependent upon how your body absorbs testosterone, right? Do not take anything, motherfucker. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Don't take shit. Take what your doctor gives you, and then if you feel like your levels are not where you want them to be at, then speak to your doctor. I had one specific guy that asked me about steroids. I told him, bro, how long have you been training for? He's like, I've been training for like 7 months. And I'm like, how long have you been on T? Less than a year. I told him, bro, don't fucking take steroids. What does he do? He takes 600 milligrams of testosterone on top of his HRT dose. So God knows how much testosterone. He was probably taking like a gram of testosterone a fucking week. Then he comes to me 2 months later and he's like, I can't get testosterone through my doctor's office because my levels are too high. They legally can't prescribe my testosterone. My levels are this high. On top of that, he gained hella fat because when you're upping your testosterone, your appetite increases as well. And if your nutrition is not in check, what happens when you have an increased appetite and you don't have proper nutrition? You're gonna go ahead and eat whatever the fuck is in front of your face. So you're gonna gain more fat than muscle. So it serves no purpose to be taking more testosterone in the first place, right? So on top of that, he had really bad acne. You know, I know you said not to take this, but I took it anyways. And then this is what happened to me, because at a certain point, like, I stopped giving you guys advice because it's just like, you're shooting yourself in the foot. I'm not gonna be that guy who's like, do as I say, not as I do. But if you've done what I've done, then you can do what I'm doing. Does that make sense? Like, if you've trained for 4 years and grinded your ass off and even trained pre-T, if you've tracked your macros every fucking day, created meal plans for yourself based on your goals, for even my rest day macros, which are separate than training day macros, and I've yet to have somebody come up to me and tell me, you know what, Devon, I've been training for a couple years. I've had one person, I lied. Most people have not been training for more than a year, more than 2 years consistently. That means not missing more than a week in the gym. If you're just one of those people who, like, you kind of like working out and you kind of eat healthy, but you know, you want to see gains, so you're just gonna take steroids. You guys were like really fucking with my physique, and I was at the 700 levels of testosterone, so that should show you what you're capable of within your average range. This turned into a fucking podcast, low key. I think that's what happens when you have a dope ass motherfucking mic, you feel me? That is the video, y'all. Hopefully you did find it somewhat informative. If you are interested in healthy, nice, sustainable coaching, whether you want to gain muscle, lose weight, recomp, anything like that, go ahead and email me, devondoescoaching@gmail.com. Follow me on the gram so we can blow the fuck up. Follow me on the talk of the tick so we could also blow the fuck up. And like I always say, Devon loves you, Devon's a Don, and Devon is out of here, boy.